Guru, Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba Ki Jai. So the good news is that to stay as the self, you don't have to do that, no? So for those who are wondering what I'm saying, while we were listening to the bhajan, one Sangha brother or sister, their mic was unmuted and they were obviously, hopefully talking to a pet saying, stay, stay. Not trying to stay as the self, but and no, no, you can't move. No, stay. Good, good boy, good. So many of us are trying to stay as the self like that. Stay, stay, stay. No, the mind. Oh, oh, stay. But none of that effort is needed. There's a problem with the audio. Let's see if we can. Okay, so how is this now? Better? Okay, good. So let's use this for the moment. Good, good, good. Okay. So there was a question that I missed. Okay. So then the question is how to stay as the self. If you can't stay like this, force yourself to stay as the self, what would that, firstly, what would that mean? When are you staying as the self? What would that even mean to stay as the self? Huh? Yes, so if you were to stay as the self, what would you be doing to stay as the self? You see? Huh? Not going with an idea. But many times we have an idea that to stay as the self means my attention should be fixated on some inner perception of the void or something like that. You see? Because many times we mistake the movement of attention into a dark and empty seeming space to mean what the master is pointing to when the master is saying open and empty. So it can feel like when my attention is quote unquote inside, then I experience this vast, dark, empty space. And that is when I am being with myself. And to remain as myself, I must constantly have that in my perception or something like that. So the first thing I want to point out is that to stay as the self has nothing to do with your attention. You see? Attention can be on the seeming objects of the world. It can be in the seeming sensations of the body. It can be on any emotion that is arising. It can be on any thought, any concept which is floating through your mind. You see, but that does not become an impediment of any sort in you remaining as the self. You see? So is that clear? No matter what the content of your perception may be, no matter what shows up in the universe, it is not, you are not to judge yourself on that basis that your attention was on something that is showing up. In fact, It only shows up when your attention is on it anyway. So, so don't beat yourself up. Don't judge yourself on the basis of any arising. You see? Now, then, you see, what can happen is only one of these perceptions, only one of these multitude of perceptions has the potential to to garner your belief. You see? So often I say this, but some of you are new here. So can you believe this? Just try to believe this. Believed? You see? You can't believe the pure perception of this. You see? But you can believe an idea about it or a set of ideas about this. You see? So you may say, oh, these look quite dirty, or I wonder what number, you see, what number is there for these lenses. You see? So those notions, those thoughts can get your belief. You see? Therefore, it is in these notions and thoughts when we believe them that that belief of that consciousness taking that belief, that notion to be a valid or giving it the certificate of validity, truth value, and saying this is true is part of the game of this Leela, is what we call to identify. But in pure perception, identification is not possible. You see? Mhm. So to remain as a self, all you have to do is to remain in an open, pure perception. That open that you couldn't be bothered to label anything. That open that you don't have the attention to figure out something or try to conceptually understand anything. That is to remain as a self. No sense of having to control attention, trying to say this content which is appearing is good, this is bad, it should only be like this, it should not be like that. All this judging, picking, and choosing is not needed. You see? So, so as simple as that. Now, what happens is that, and Amba did a nice video on this just yesterday or today, where she read some excerpt from the book Knowing of the Heart, where we were talking about how, you see, the notion of I am the body can seem like the primary identity, isn't it? So we feel like if I'm just rid of the notion I am the body, you see, then we are finished. But the thing is that that identification of you as the body is contained in most notions. You see, this is my house. You see, these are my children. I am so many years old. You see? So, if you look at most notions, they will identify you with the centrality of you being this body. You see, so that gives you the ability to insert yourself in an objective narrative of past, present, and future. You see, because you need some stuff to insert into a narrative. You can't insert suddenly into the narrative saying, "Oh, in that moment there was space," but in every moment there was space. Before that there was space. After that there was space. You see, so even subtler than space is your reality. So it is impossible to insert you really into any story or narrative. You see, so what can happen is that in most notions, quickly enough is the story of a limited you as the body mind. You see, so even if you say, sometimes they say that some thoughts can seem fairly harmless, you can say, what's wrong with that? You see, so you could say the coconut is green. You see, the coconut is green, and you say, what? I can't identify with that. You see, but firstly, we can't say what the thing is in itself. You see? So we cannot really authoritatively say that in the first place. But secondly, very quickly you will notice in your mind that judgments that follow this first judgment will come quickly. You say, yes, yes, but green coconuts are quite fresh. I like the water. You see? Then the I is quickly inserted into the narrative of a seemingly harmless notion. You see? Now, the good news is that by letting go of a notional way to be, you see, a notional way to exist, does not give any advantage, you see, because there is no additional intelligence that you're acquiring through this notional way of existence. You see, in fact, it is taking you away from a greater intelligence, you see, which is your very intuitive insight, which is present with you and for you in every moment. So, so this stepping away from this very pristine primal guidance, going into the head of, you see, humanity, seems to be that which then leads to this notion of the individualization of consciousness, the Atma playing as if it is a individualized consciousness, Jivatma, and then it plays with the game of coming to satsang to rid itself of the notion of individualization of the person, of the me notion, so that it can reveal to its own being, its own unlimited being. That's what all of us come here for, because it is seen, or there is suffering caused by this apparent individualization, which never really happens, but it seems as if it happened. So we come to satsang to be rid of this person identity, this individualization, you see, which never really happened in the first place. But because consciousness has the ability to believe, you see, what notions it itself is producing in its aspect called mind, then in the spell of that belief, it takes itself to be what it is not, you see, and that what it is not seems to be paramount, or fundamentally important, for the time being. And then even to get freedom, many times we come from trying to get it for the me, you see, the I want freedom, I want it now, you see. Mhm. I want to see God. And just the other day I was joking saying, but who are you to see God? You see? What makes you entitled to see God? You see? So only God can have the darshan of God. Anyway, so coming back to uh, the staying as the self, all that is needed is that you remain in your pure perception when the realm of perception is there, which is the waking state. Then you remain in your pure perception. When the realm of perception is not there, it is a sleep state, you don't need to worry about it anyway. You see? So, so don't pick up any notion, don't pick up any idea, position, right, wrong, good, bad, you see? And you will notice that this realm can take very good care of itself. Maybe not according to the ideas we have about what that should mean, but independent of your ideas of how it should be or should not be, it is just fine. You see? And remember to include this body mind that you call you into the perception of the world, which is taking care of itself. You see? From the unborn, all action, activity, all the play of life, whatever is needed, can play out. You see? God does not need your mental intervention to run your life. You see? gone. It's back. Yeah. Yes. So that's how to remain free from this limited identification. You see. Now, some of you may say, okay, I'm free from this limited identification, but who am I? You see. How do I come to the discovery of that? Who am I really? You see? Now, you've been told over the last year or so, millions of times, by this expression now, that the whatever tools you think you have to be able to do to undertake any search for the self, you see, are not suitable for the search for the self. You see? So anything you can do to search is not suitable for you to find. You see? But the minute you stop relying on those tools, then the truth of what you are is just apparent to you. And this apparent truth, that which was always apparent, when it comes into focus, that is what we call the recognition or the awakening. Yes, yes. And don't trouble your awakening or your spiritual insight by trying to understand what you have recognized. Don't understand what you have recognized, you can't do it. So let's try a live example right now. You see? So if I tell you, who is aware of your being, who is it? It is you. You see? But this you that is aware of your being, I guarantee you that you cannot see it, you cannot perceive it in any way. You see? And you cannot conceptualize it. You see? Now, how will you confirm this? If you can only confirm this by understanding it first, conceptually, then it is not the true understanding. Don't rely on that. You see, if you can confirm this because you see some black and empty void, then that is not what we are talking about, because that is just another perception. Who is aware of that? It is you. That much is clear. You see, that clarity comes from your intuition. You see, you are never confused about that. You see, so continue to rely on that same intuition, and in that intuition, you are having a very clear insight about your true nature. Now, if you try to make it an understanding, you will again obscure it. I'm able to get through to some of you see, because I see now, having been in satsang, for most of you, the insight is very obvious. It's quite straightforward and apparent. You see, but the need to understand it and the need to make something out of it, like make it mean something for the life of the me, you see, is what continues to trip you up. You see, so maybe some more focus from here will go on that aspect now, because I feel like I've clarified now quite often in terms of how to come to this pristine insight very effortlessly. You see? But when you need to uh, really confirm in your head, have I really got it? You see, then you're going to the wrong tool for the affirmation. You see, you're going to the wrong device. It's like you're looking at the weighing scale to tell you the time. It's not going to happen. You see. So if you go to the mind and say, "Hey, Mr. Mind, what did you think of that intuitive experience of awareness that I just had?" You see, so it'll trip you up either way. You see, so either it'll tell you what you're talking about. You see, look at how angry you're just getting. How can you have had the intuitive experience that he's talking about? Don't fake it, okay? Just stop it. You see, he'll say that, or he'll say yes. Wow, that was fantastic. So how can we keep it like this all the time? You see, and it'll trip you up that way. So it'll still try to make it a part of your narrative and try to insert the whole thing in time. Whereas just instantly, you see, right now you can come to that direct insight about yourself, which is not in time. You see? It is not objective in any way, doesn't have an attribute in any way. You see? So now, do you want it to mean something for you? You see? You want to be enlightened because of it? That is no deal. You see? Do you want a halo? Do you want cities? That's why I made the third bowl specifically, knowing that, of course, it is a perception, and of course, it's a bundle of concepts. And yet, most of the time, I hear questions about, okay, so even when you say a very humble sounding question, which is like, okay, I had this insight, you see, which is already now you've gone far because you put it in your narrative. But suppose you say, I had this insight, now what? You see, they're still yearning for something out of it, or at least like you're yearning for a meaning. Like, what does it mean for me? You see, and in that meaning making, we invent the me again, because that question does not come from that you which you discovered yourself to be. It again comes from Mr. Mind. You see? So there is no deal that the absolute reality, once the manifest aspect of itself, you see, comes to the recognition of it, then it must help the non-existent person, you see, in any way. There is nobody left to be either free or bound in that way. You see, one says, very good. I think I'm expecting everlasting peace, and when it is not so, there is resistance. Already the expectation is resistance. That what is an expectation? So we have a box, and that box, in the boundaries of the box, you see, is the notion that in the realm of perception, only peace can come. You see, you see. So this ever-changing realm of perception, then we want to fix it in this way. You see, so that only that which we call peace can come. You see, and because it is the design of consciousness that everything in this realm constantly changes, when it goes, and it will go, what we call peace, so far that will go, then it is replaced by something else, then we feel like, oh, this should not happen, therefore I am not free. You see, now look at the absurdity of that. You see, freedom means what? Everything can come. Freedom. You see, we feel that freedom means this box, that only peace can come. Now, does that sound like freedom? You see, this is the absurdity of the human intellect. You see, so it takes a concept which itself clearly means not freedom and says that should be my freedom. And then we keep chasing that. You see, this is the strangeness, you see, of the human intellect. So, So allowing everything to come and go as it will, you see, is freedom. And if we make that our peace, then that is called everlasting peace. You see, which means that in the realm of sensation, sometimes you will experience great expansion, sometimes you'll experience great contraction, you see. But you, the witnessing of either of these, is clearly unaffected by either of these. But if you say it should only be expansion, 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 you see, then that doesn't sound like freedom because there is a only there. Then I'm just randomly picking up, okay? If I miss something, then I'll come back to it. Next one says, here there seems to be a desire to share this insight and guide others to that seeing. And it seems to be a mixture of pure joy and spiritual ego. I leave it at your feet. You see? Now, thank you. Thank you for sharing and exposing that. It's a very um, common quote unquote desire. We'll use that word for a moment. So, you see, and any of us, you see, are just sharing. You see, none of us really live a life which is not, which is in which sharing is absent. You see, we are sharing what we take to be true. We are sharing our way of being. You see, maybe not so much in words. You see, but in one way or the other, we are always communicating. You see, through our preferences, our likes and dislikes, through the clothes that we wear, through the restaurants we go to, through how we raise our children, through all of that, we are constantly sharing. You see, now if you come to this uh, intuitive insight and you leave yourself alone, that means that you're not no longer getting troubled by the content of your limited thoughts. You see, then there is no way that you can hide that light. There is no way you can hide that light. And I've said often that in this play of humanity, where apparently 7 billion or so humans are there on the planet, we could do with a million satsang teachers. You see, so it's always good news if there are more sharing. But it, my advice would be to let it happen in the most organic way, in the most natural way. You see, if a true light is there, it will shine, and people will be drawn to that light. You see, they will be drawn to that light, and you don't have to intend to do it or intend to not do it. You see, you remain in the unborn, you rest in your neutrality, and then naturally, if it has to play that way, it will play that way. Because if the desire, like we were discussing last time, is to be truly helpful, then don't presume that your mind knows what helpful means. You see? And I was half jokingly saying to one that maybe in some cases you will be the most helpful by never sharing, you see, and disturbing the world. You see? Or you could be the most helpful by sharing all the time, and either is fine. But what I'm saying is that conceptually we cannot know that, you see, but you can trust grace to take care of that for you. You can trust grace to make sure that if there is a clear light somewhere, it will bring it into focus for those who need to experience that light. You see? So um, this worry or this desire or this intention, we can just leave it to grace. Just leave it to grace, and may all of you shine as the beautiful lights of this supreme discovery which you are making. You see, that is always my blessing. But if you rush into it, if you jump into it with a mix of spiritual desire, ego, you think the perks of being on a pedestal and people bowing down to you sound very glamorous, then all those delusions will be shattered quite strongly, mostly. You see. And we've, in the short 7 8 years that I've been sharing this way, we've had a few cases like this already, you know, where when when this kind of intention is not allowed to unfold in the most organic way, then it can seem quite strong. The the energetic impact, the kind of shattering of expectations, you see, can happen in a very strong way. So so my advice always is that yes, allow the light to shine and may it get brighter and brighter, that the whole world is attracted to it on its own. You see, a butterfly with beautiful wings doesn't say, "Let me go around people so that they can admire my colors." You see? They're just shining. Then one said, "Here there is a desire for father to say, 'Well done.'" Yeah, yes, yes. I can understand that. I can understand that there can be this need for confirmation, and also sometimes we can feel like coming up and saying, if there is a dark spot, please point it out to me. You see, I can understand that. So and organically it moves from here as well. You see, like I don't have a spreadsheet. It says, okay, total Sangha members, then Sangha member this one, 99% free, Sangha member this one, 48% done. You see, it just, you see, that is a pointless mental exercise. No? So I don't indulge in that kind of thing. It just, whatever shows up in the moment is what shows up in the moment. You see. And fundamentally, actually, that what may be more important is that in every moment, like right now, right this very instant, all 110 of you are completely free. You see? All of you are completely free. You see? Now, if you play the game of meaning making, of, oh, I'm so free or I'm not so free, then you're taking yourself to be limited again. And then I will point that to you that all these constructs that you're buying again are not natural to you, are not original to you. Let them go. You see, but it is the play of the mind. You see, it is the mind which is actually struggling moment to moment to convince you of your limitations. Your freedom is shining forth every moment, just naturally. You see, so you don't need to convince me that you are free. I am telling you that you are free. I am convinced. I am the choir that's singing that song all the time. You are free. You see, but if you want to be free, specially, if you want to be, sometimes I joke with the Sangha, no, saying that everyone seems to be completely fine as long as nobody is getting it. You see, but if it feels like somebody else is getting it, I'm not getting it. That's when the trouble comes. You see, so so this notion of another example which I feel is quite potent is like suppose all of you sat together and you started the inquiry. You see, and you did textbook inquiry, perfect. You see, thought came, you said who is witnessing that thought. You see, you recognize yourself intuitively, and you saw that there is nobody, there is no boundary, there's just pure self, pure awareness. See? Nobody to call himself this or that, nobody to be limited by a body or by a birth or a death. You saw all of that. You see, perfect inquiry. You see, then you wake up out of the inquiry, and what happens is that the body mind, which you always identified with, is still sounding a bit like, caught up and identified. But the one sitting next to you seems to have got a halo now, and she is now sharing words which are scriptural, and she seems to be saying exactly what you discovered in your inquiry. But your mouth, that which you call your mouth, is not saying any of that. You see, why would that be a problem? Why should that be a problem? Because what you discovered was that there is no limitation of body, and I am not this body or that body. So, to put it simply, suppose the fruits of your sadhana went, you see, the universe made some mistake and it went to the one sitting next to you and they became forever free, then what trouble is that? See, no trouble, because you are not this body mind anyway. You see? It's a good experiment. It's a good experiment. So, having said all of that, I do understand the feeling of confirmation from the master. So, it's fine. It's fine. So, next one says, Master, how to handle or take the pain of separation. It is so deep that the rest seems all meaningless, or that there is no interest in anything, including spirituality. Please guide. And in brackets, you say separation from the partner. Okay. How to handle or take the pain of separation from the partner. It is so deep that all the rest seem meaningless, or there is no interest in anything, including spirituality. Yes, yes. So, um, I I can completely empathize with you that you are going through this, and um, I can understand what a deep, painful experience that does seem like. So I don't want to trivialize it. I don't want to say just like forget about it, because I don't sense that openness is there yet. So for the moment, I just want to give you a blessing that may this lighten, take it a day at a time, and may every day seem more open, lighter, you see, and may you come in a greater acceptance. You see. May you rest in your presence more effortlessly, and may you see that in your holy presence there is nothing lacking, there is nothing missing here and now. You see. May you see that the old way of attaching, you see, was just a play of the mind, of these attachments and desires. Even this so called oneness was just an objective play where something showed up in our perceptions, and in our mind we made a special relationship mentally, you see, and said, this is mine, you see. But it was just another play of perceptions. So, so may you let go of this objective attachment and come into the love of your own being, where all beings are one. That is where we are truly one. That is where this partner that apparently a separation has happened from, that is where they are, your very being. No separation can truly happen. I'm reminded of the words of A Course in Miracles, where it starts with these words, nothing real can never be threatened. Nothing unreal has ever existed. Herein lies the peace of God. So, in reality, our notion of separation or our notion of union, you see, is mistaken. Is not the true union. Is not the true communion. Not the true oneness. So, love, peace, and joy are the very natural byproducts of your being. You see, as you leave your being open, as you're resting in pure perception, then you will notice that love, peace, and joy, they just show up. You see, in service to your being. You are not to chase them. In fact, sometimes so much of it will show up that you feel like you can make pieces out of love and distribute it to the whole universe, and still you will not run out. You see, you just it's just an endless supply, but not if you chase it. Guruji says no that if you go chasing, then everything in the world goes running from you. You see? But if you rest, then the world comes to give you a kiss, the kiss from within. Next one says, what is, 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 what is what? Like, what would what be? It is this. You see? What would that relationship actually signify? Would it signify that there is something, and now I have the right concept to be able to define it, and now I can say this is what this is? You see? These endeavors are usually just playful. You see? Just let it go, it's fine. Next one says, beloveds, I can't say how much I enjoy these gatherings. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, beloved Ananta-ji. Thank you all so much. Thank you too, my dear. Good, good, good. Father, next one says, Father, mind says, I have lost the self again. Yes, the mind will say these kind of things. You see? Don't believe. Let the mind say what it is saying. You see? Don't identify. In direct experience, there doesn't seem to be any awareness. You see? But that what we call direct experience, you see, in indirect experience, there is no awareness. It is kind of canceling each other out. No? What is direct experience? What do we mean when we say direct experience? Means the awareness of some perception or the awareness of the absence of some perception. You see? That is direct experience. So awareness is undeniable either way. You see, so even if you were to say, but Ananta, I promise you, I know for a fact there is no awareness. You see? You see? Or so how will you know for a fact? How do you know for a fact? I know this, I see it. I have the direct experience of it. That direct experience is awareness. Yes. That which is aware of the perception, that which we call an experience, you see, is the substratum before we can say anything else, either affirmative or negative. Okay. Next one says, Um, just wanted to say thank you, Father. I would just like I would like to ask you for help not to fall in the trap of ignorance and arrogance, and want to be fresh with you right now, right here. Thank you. Very good. Very- All my blessings. All my blessings. Next one says, she's quoting Bhagwan. She says, the only direct experience is the self. Very beautiful. Very good. Next one says, Guruji, please wipe away all the dark spots holding this one back, totally surrendered at your feet. So, as you make this prayer, leave the notion of being held back here today. You will not suffer from this notion again. That is what it means to burn it. No? Make your mind work hard and find something fresh to trouble you with. You see? And you'll see soon that although the mind seems very complex and difficult, it has just a few ways to poke you. One says, does our experience become more and more indescribable as we start not relying and buying concepts from the mind? Yes. In fact, I will go further and say that our perceptual experience of the world is already indescribable. Our non perceptual experience of ourselves, anyway, is indescribable. But even the experience of the manifest world has always been indescribable. You see, sometimes I say that if I give you a million lines to write, you see, a million lines, a million words to write, then also you could not describe one moment of this, what you are perceiving. You see, yeah. And you can actually try. You may feel for a moment that, yeah, I can, you see, but you will not be able to capture all the light, the nuances of the sound, the shadows, the objects, you see. Really, even your manifest experience of yourself is too broad for your concepts or your narratives to capture. So this, you see, this sounds like a very simple pointing, but can be quite atomic because you have a very simplistic narrative. Not you, as you, all of us, have a very simplistic narrative about our life. You see, somebody says, "Okay, tell me about yourself." We say, "I was born here, and this happened. My childhood was like this." You see, it's too generic and too primitive to actually create any reality about what you are. Because even one moment of your life you cannot describe in a million words. You see? Now, what happens is that it's bad enough if others buy into this idea of your life, but worse is because you buy into this idea of your life. You see? Then you create um, just conceptual problems, need for conceptual resolution to things which are just part of your limited narrative. You see? Nobody has had the experience of a problem. You see? We've only interpreted the experience as a problem. You see? And it is the nature of the mind to play as this peddler of so-called problems and then presenting seeming options for resolutions. And we keep playing this game, and in playing this game, we are missing this beautiful movie that is playing out in front of us. We're just trying to figure out the subtitles. Okay, next one says, Father, there is still much resistance and arrogance here. How can I be more open? Okay, how do you know it is there? Suppose everything you think you know is not true. Actually, I can guarantee you that this is not true. You see? Because here and resistance cannot be together. If here is here, then resistance cannot be. If resistance is here, then here is not here. So stay here, you see, which means what? Remain open and empty right now, in this moment. This is the greatest gift that you can give to any apparent future you. This moment remain fully open and empty. There is no better antidote to any make believe mind problem. Next one says, that is why the mind resists this message of yours because it hates unknowing. It always wants to stay alive by knowing, by describing and keeping on narrating. The mind will not survive this. Indescribability, yes. That is why it always throws describability on top of experience. Yes, yes. So, one thing you'll notice, and I'm reading through the next question as I'm saying this, one thing you'll notice is that even here, in this opportunity to just have this pristine insight about yourself, you see, and just remain in that, just fully open and empty, the mind is selling you the idea of a future you and saying, how can I use what I'm discovering now to help that future me? You see, and it's still pulling you back into this narrative. You see, and I'm saying that there is no such future you, but even if you were to say that there is, the best gift you can give to that one is you be fully open and empty for one moment here and now. Give yourself this gift and it'll help every you, past, present, future, 10 lifetime before, 10 lifetime later, anything that you want to imagine. That is the best gift. There is no other antidote. You see, beloved Father, when people ask me to tell them about myself, there is literally no answer. Yes, 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 yes. We have the same predicament. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Okay, you have your hand up as well. So I see Chanda first. You can come. That was okay. That was Ishwari. Okay, Chanda can come. Yeah.
Grandfather.
Namaste.
Uh, Father, I need to tell you that I need your help. I need your grace and your guidance. The tinnitus in my ear, which I had
Yeah.
spoken to you about earlier. Father, it's just giving me a lot of nerve attacks. So just a feeling of anger, being caged. Um, it's just it's I'm not being able to deal with it,
Yes.
and I've resisted taking neurological medicines for it.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've started today
I see.
taking the medicines
I see.
required. I don't know how to remain open, empty, and hear this pounding in my ear, which doesn't let me sleep at night. Doesn't let me just be.
Yeah.
Please help me.
Yes. My full blessing, my full love, my full blessings for this. And also, I heard some good news that you're making your way here. So,
Yes,
so,
yes, Father.
so
Thank you.
we'll get some
I'll
look at this together as well.
Thank
So
you, Father. I'll be there tomorrow night.
tomorrow,
Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. Very good.
Thank you for calling me. I'm very excited.
Oh, very welcome, my dear. Very good, very good. Okay, I see Sida. Sida can come.
Hello.
Hello, my dear.
Um, Recently, something comes up, and ah, so much excitement come recently also while I'm speaking with you.
Mm.
So while I'm listening to you, I also heard something which is very related with it. And like, yesterday, some heaviness was there. And it was okay actually, because there was no resistance anymore towards any sense or anything like seeing. There is no resistance. So even though it's there, it's somehow okay when there is no resistance, but it's still there. And while it was there, I checked and it was so obvious, like my father is here. So state was there, but my father, which I am, is just so much here. And then, like, I truly want to know what person is, because when I see that my father is here, just so
Yeah.
clear, but like, I, but at the same time, I'm also, I don't know how to call it, if it is called as person, I'm also here. And I don't know if you may
Okay,
speak
we can
about
speak
this.
about this a bit. We can speak about this a bit. So this is nice. I like hearing what you said. Um, so there is a world of perceptions. Yes, let's go step by step. There is a world of perceptions where you can see the objects around you. Yes. You can't hear me here.
Yes, now I can hear. May
Okay.
you please repeat,
Yes.
Father?
Yes. So I said this is nice. So let's go step by step and look at this. No? Let's look at this thing about where is the person or where is that coming from here? There's some. Acha, acha, acha. Okay, okay, it's okay. So, so maybe we can mute for a moment. No? Okay, so we can really look one by one and see what we come across. And if there's a place where you come across something, then just wave your hand or something, and I'll let you speak. Okay, so so we we can look around us and see that there's a objective seeming realm of perception, that which we call the world or the universe, in which there's a space, and in the space there seem to be these objects, and these objects seem to apparently move in this space of time. You see, so we notice length, breadth, height, and duration, which make up the constituents of this outside seeming perceptual world. You see, yes. So it is just a play of appearances. Appearances means that which changes. You see, in Vedanta, it is clear that the reality is that which does not change, and that which changes there is an appearance. You see, it comes and goes. You see, so all of this changes. Now, mostly when we do an exercise like this, we may forget to include this body, you see, which seems so intimate to us at the moment. So we can include this body also and say this is also another set of perceptions. Yes? No reality is found here, no? No reality with the definition of that which does not come and go is found in this realm. Yes? Okay. Then we can come to the next layer and say, okay, let me look at my thoughts. What are thoughts? Thoughts are these energy constructs which are perceived in one way or the other, but they seem to carry this message, you see, in words. So that is perceived, and that is also changing. So therefore, nothing real is there, even in this realm of thoughts. You see, and the mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. Don't you see?
Yes. So it seems like thoughts are not separate from my person. So thoughts are including this person, and
So,
they
so,
are not.
so where, so there's a thought. You see, there can be a thought. Where is the person? What are we calling the person?
Um, the I think the thoughts, like thoughts are belong to someone and includes that I too.
No. Now, okay. So the point of this experiment is that we are not inferring anything. We are just checking. Okay. So now in the checking, we are trying to find if there is an entity called the person that we have to get rid of. Okay. So we checked in the perceptual realm, which we call the outside world. You see. Now we are checking the perceptual realm that we call the inside world. So in the outside world, we did not come across any such entity called the person. Yes. And now we are checking in the inside world. So first we encounter these construct called thoughts. Sometimes there are thoughts, sometimes there are no thoughts. There is always a gap between thoughts. You see? So that which perceives these thoughts, see, that we'll come to in a moment, but that is not something that we call the person. See? Now, is there anybody else here? Okay. Just in the checking, we can simply see there is nobody else here. And whatever doubts which will come, we'll take them later. Don't worry. Okay. So then, same way, we can look at emotion, any sensation of anger or hunger or joy or bliss or peace or love. You see, I'm talking about the worldly love. So all of these sensations can be perceived. Now, all of these come and go, you see, but there is no entity here, you see, the no limited entity, that which we call a person, that any of these belong to. Yes,
Yes. So
kinda.
mm. because um, it feels like all is like in Guruji's example, if you are sick, what was the example?
So,
Like if you are
moment, for a moment,
okay,
don't infer anything. You see, so when you try to use an analogy or an example, you're using your intellect. We are just trying to look for it, like you're trying to look for some lost sunglasses or something like that. Okay, we are looking at it with that simplicity, with that innocence. We're not trying to use any learned knowledge, anything that we've heard from anywhere. We're just looking. Yes. So we can look and we may find some emotion, some pain, some pleasure, some sensation, some sort of sensational perception. But this person, we still do not perceive in the layer of emotions.
um, I don't know. It's like I'm going to memory for emotions because there is no emotion presently here.
Yes, so then that is fine too. You see, but what you can do is that sometimes there is no emotion, but if you audit the state of the body, then you can always find some minute pain or some minute pleasure in some aspect of your what we call the body sensations, one way or the other. You see.
Okay, now clear.
Yes. So in that realm of your existence, of your being also, we did not encounter that which we can call a person. You see, so far we've looked at the outside seeming world where we did not encounter myself as a person. We looked at the now we are exploring the inner seeming world where we are looking at the realm of thoughts, which is basically the mind, and we have not encountered this person. We've now gone into the sensations, subtler sensations, and we have not encountered the person. Now, what is the subtlest to which our attention can go? We can say, just go to your being. Keep your attention on your sense of being. So here you encounter your being, which is so vast, without any boundary, without any yesterday or tomorrow, any desire or aversion. None of this is found in your being. And you definitely do not encounter anything that you can call a person here. Yes, I hope all of you are following along. So it can seem very straightforward and simple, but just to go along with this exercise is very good, very helpful. So we looked everywhere that we can look with our attention, and we have not found this that we can call the person or the me or the ego anywhere. You see? So, so what we can find is that we can give credence to a notion of a me. We can give truth value to a notion of a character called me. You see? And in giving that truth value, it seems as if there is an existent entity beyond pure existence, you see, or besides pure existence, which is the me, like the limited form of being called me. But all of that is purely in our heads. You see, it is like if you were to invent a character in your head because you wanted to write a book about it or something, and you would say, okay, there was this boy. He lived in New Zealand. He has three brothers and sisters. You see, give more and more ideas to this character. Suppose it was called Nathan or something. And then if you've invested enough ideas into that identity, then it can seem like Nathan is a real boy with a life, with a story. You see? So consciousness has the ability to take itself to be the character which it itself is authoring in its own mind. And that play is called the play of the ego. And when consciousness is letting go of this play, of playing with these narratives and stories and ideas of this character, then that is called coming to freedom. You see? No existent um, entity called a person has ever existed. Because if it was true that there was a tangible phenomenal entity, then Jnana Yoga could not work. You see? Then this satsang, which is just sharing in words, it could not work. You see? Because words can only be used to neutralize other words. You see? If there was an existent entity who had to be killed or destroyed, then just words could not do it. You see? So it is just made up of words, and therefore words can clean it up. You see? If there was a manifest, tangible entity called a me, then I would have to at least do some physical movement, you see, to break it up, to spread it out. You see? But there is nothing like that. And that is why many have said that this kind of Jnana Yoga is the most direct because it tackles the seeming issue at its direct level. You see, so the notion that I am something is tackled directly, and it is seen that I am not that something, and it is let go. The idea of something is let go, and then pure I am remains. And as I described in the beginning of satsang, that now any notion that we end up buying, that it could be I like this very much, or I don't like this at all. It could be this is so great, this is but this doesn't work for me, or any of these positions is that character Nathan that we are inventing. You see? Any position. So you could say, um, I need to plan the rest of my life now that I'm free, or you could say, now I just have to be spontaneous because I'm free. Either of those are just positions. To let go of all of these positions is to remain in your notionless existence, to remain open and empty, to remain in the unborn. You see? So that's why often I say the best way to suffer is to try and solve a non existent problem. You see? So if we try to get rid of something that is not there, you see, to get rid of the mosquito on your nose, can you do it? Why aren't you doing anything?
Hmm?
You see, it's a huge problem because you can't do it. You see, because the problem is non-existent. So it is not that we have to get rid of the person. We have to get rid of the notion of personhood, and even get rid of. I use the term loosely. Is that I what I should say is that not pick up the notions of personhood because the getting rid of happens just naturally, moment to moment. That is why it is too easy for us to do that which is already being done is obviously too easy for us to do. But when we try to do, then we pick up the notion of doership and we play the game of trying to be Nathan again. If you go to your mind, it will only give you non existent problems that you still need to solve.
No, I I don't I, I cannot go there,
Yeah.
and I cannot find anything. Actually, I don't know even what person is,
Yes.
but I know my presence.
Yes.
Like maybe,
Your
yeah,
presence is not personal, no?
yes, maybe, Father. I heard this term that individual um, presence. Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, this is here.
Yeah. It is not. The presence is never individualized. When the presence takes any attribute which is false about itself to be true, you see, so it can take I am and say I am a woman, you see, to give reality to that which is just an appearance coming and going, is to take an attribute or a notion to be true, and therefore then that which is pure I am takes itself to be limited because it takes a notion about itself to be true. That's why Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi said that till I am, no problem. The minute, the instant you pick up the idea I am something, that is where all the troubles begin. You see, so the game of pure Atma playing as Jivatma, which means pure presence, playing the game of individualized presence, individualized consciousness, is to take a notion of somethingness to be true about yourself.
May you repeat last sentence?
Yes, yes. You can only play the game of individualization of consciousness. And why I call it a game is because it is never real. It only seems as if it happens. You see, so what happens in Indian spirituality is we call this pure presence Atma, this pure consciousness, unlimited, unconditioned by anything. We call that Atma. Then the apparent individualization of this consciousness is called Jivatma, which means individualized consciousness. You see, but individualization of consciousness never really happens. It is only when the pure consciousness takes itself using a notion to be something, then that is called individualized consciousness. You see, and to be rid of that notion of somethingness is to come back to pure consciousness. You see, that's why Jnana Yoga can work. Because if there was really something there, then I would have to come to your house with some tool, some scissors, some shovel to take out the faults, you see, physical faults, and to throw it away and to burn it. You see? But there's no physical faults. It is only conceptual faults, conceptual ignorance. You see? So that's why in words you can melt away and come to that neutrality and come to your pure consciousness again. You see? Don't try to convince your mind.
No,
Yes,
no, no need to convenient anything. Convince.
convince. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, it's just too clear my being, yet I don't know how this thing happens,
Yeah.
like how we can go so far with it
Yeah. We
while
can't
it
know
is
how.
just
We can't know the how, the why. You see, all of these questions, the what, the how, the why, the when, we cannot know. Just we have to focus on the who.
but it just happens so automatically that you don't even catch or you don't even question. You are already in it.
In what?
Now I don't know.
Yes. Good. Because it never really happens. Only happens notionally. You see, it only happens conceptually. No person has ever taken birth. Millions of bodies may have taken birth in this manifest play, but no person is ever born. You see?
Now actually I don't know what person is.
Yeah, that's better. No? Why you want to know something about that which never existed? It's good not to know.
And may I bring one
Yeah.
thing too?
Yes, ma'am.
Like today I'm so thankful one of my Sangha sister. Um, she has guided me and brought me
Yeah.
kind of silence, and it was just too beautiful. And I see so clearly. I again wanted to thank her in your presence, and thank you for guiding us in that way, bringing us together with Sangha. And while in that silence, it's just so obvious that other sense of other comes from only when I appear. And because in that silence there was no I, and it was seen that it can go, but something was just so
Yeah.
here that,
Yeah.
and actually I want to bring an, I don't know, maybe offer this sense of separation and sense of other to
Mm.
you,
Mm.
because now it's just so obvious that only when I is here
Mm.
other can appear. And because there is still can some bubble about other, and interaction with other is
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah.
So I want to bring it to you, and if you have something on this,
Yeah.
something to say.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like what we looked into in terms of really trying to find an existent entity called a person and to see it is not there, then helps with this notion of taking yourself to be this me or this I, which you're absolutely right. That only when you take yourself to be a limited me can there be the notion of another. So as that idea of me is dissolving more and more, the idea of separation or other is also dissolving along with that.
Yes,
So very good.
yes.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
dear
you.
Father. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. I see Sylvia, but just give me a moment, my dear. We'll just read some messages and then we'll come to you. Next one said, Pranam with gratitude, Father. Namaste, my dear. This is an attempt to give expression to the prayer of the formless. I am not the body is clear and apparent. Clearly,
I am not the body is clear on star.
So, so let me recap. Um, this is an attempt to give expression to the prayer of the formless. I am not the body is clear and apparent. Very good. Clearly, my reality is the expansive one, not limited to the body. Yes. The sense of identity with the expansive is very subtle and seems to have a boundary of sorts. Mhm, very good. This sense of identity with the formless is inescapable and going beyond the witness. There is no way but through your grace that the absolute witness of the witness is coronated once and for all. Please confer this grace without delay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Next one says, today's satsang has cracked something in me. Thank you so much. Very welcome, my dear. Very good. Please, Ananta, could you pray for my brother in the highest way? Also on behalf of Moji Baba, please. Okay. And please let me leave my spiritual jealousy and impatience at your feet. I love you. Thank you. I'm praying for your brother and you. May my Father's grace bless you, your brother, and all your family, loved ones, the whole world. May my Father bless all of you with His highest grace. Next one says, it seems beingness has been mistaken as the person. Yes, yes, yes. This is the master stroke of the mind. The master stroke of the mind. To convince you that your I amness itself is the person and you have to get rid of it. Yes, very good. Next one says, I have the sense that I cannot find being with my attention. This is fine because actually being is is on the cusp of on the boundary between the phenomenal and the non-phenomenal. You see, and this is also just words, but you'll get a sense of what I'm trying to convey. It is not really possible to capture your being with your attention, and yet its most primal vibration as presence you can bring your attention to. So when I ask you to try and stop being, you will notice that it goes to this just primal vibration. Yes, very good. Thank you so much, dear Ananta. I love you. Love you too, my dear. Thank you. Okay, Sylvia can come. Mm.
Hello, can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes, yes, my dear. Yes,
Okay. It's my third satsang with you, and
that's
I'm so grateful because, in a way, I feel that Moji sent me to you, and it's in my heart like this. And I also want to thank you to the previous questions
yeah.
because I can experience that all you say it's true.
Thank
I can see that I'm not the person, and even I'm not the body, but I want to expose that something troubles me, and I somehow I cannot be fully present with this. The identifying with the idea that I'm a woman,
you. Yeah.
and this becomes very heavy on my chest somehow.
So thank you. Thank you for that question. Very sweet, my dear. So if you had the license, you see, if you had the license to have one notion that you can't let go of, would it be this one, I am a woman? Yes? So let me say again, maybe my English is not so clear. So if you had the permission that you could have one notion about yourself which you could not get rid of, would it be this one that I am woman, you keep that and everything else you can leave?
Somehow, yes. Even the idea about relationship and
Ah,
the idea that I have to know something, it's easy. But this somehow,
doesn't go. Okay. So you keep this one and everything else you leave with me.
no, no, I want to leave this at your thought, and I want to give it if it's possible like this, because I don't know what to do with this. I
Yes.
really,
Yes. If you feel like you can leave it with me, that is very good. But what I'm saying to you is some good news. I'm saying to you that if the only notion that you have is that I am a woman and every other notion you can surrender, then even that is okay for your freedom. You see? Because the mind troubles us in this way. You see, what happened one time is similar thing. In those days in satsang, I used to always say, just don't believe your next thought. All you have to do is don't believe your next thought. So this sweet lady, she was coming to satsang with us. She had been with me for quite some time. She said to me one day, you know, Anantaji, I have this big problem. You see, I have this big problem where when you say, don't believe your next thought, I can let go of every thought except one thought. You see? So I said to her, okay, one thought you can keep. And she was not expecting that. You see? She was expecting me to say, no, 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 you have to burn everything. You see? So the mind was caught off guard when I said, no, no, you can keep that one thought. It's all right. You'll be fine. You see? So, you know what she said? She said, okay, okay, but can I have three more? You see? So this is the way the mind will trouble you. You see? It will say, but this idea, you can't let go of it. You can't. You just can't do it. But it's not true, you see? It's not true. So when I said you can keep it, I just wanted to lighten it up a bit. It's not such a serious problem, firstly, you see? Because right now, you don't have the idea. What was the idea? You need a moment to think about it and to pick it up, you see? So it is not naturally there all the time. It is gone, just
yes,
naturally. You see? So this is an example of the mind selling you a problem and trying to get you to fix it. You see? But actually the problem itself is not there.
yes,
And you don't have
yeah,
to test yourself. You see? You don't have to test yourself and say, am I really not believing that I'm a woman? Then you say, of course I'm believing I'm a woman. You don't have to do this test at all. You see, don't worry about it. In your openness, as you're letting go of most of your notions, then even this will just dissolve on its own. You see, so you don't have to, you see, you may end up energizing it more if you try too much to get rid of it.
yes.
That's why I say to you, you can keep it for a while. I'll take care of it. Don't worry. You see, don't worry.
Thank you
Thank
for your presence
you.
and
Very,
for
very,
this blessing of satsang. Thank you.
you're very welcome, my dear. And I enjoy very much the innocence of your sharing. Thank you. Very sweet. Thank you. Very okay. Looks like we are done. Is there a hand up? No. Huh? Good tears? Yes, yes, good, good. Then next one said, Father, I need to bring at your feet the fears that kick in first thing in the morning, yes, and result in identification despite the effort to surrender. Please keep me in your grace to full clarity in seeing the true me. Yes, my dear. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Very good. So we have more time for bhajans today. How with this one? This one looks nice.
Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo. 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 Radha Ramana Hari Gopala Bolo. Radha Ramana Hari Gopala Bolo. Govinda Bolo 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 Hari Gopala Bolo. Radha Ramana 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 Hari Gopala Bolo. Govinda Bolo 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 Hari 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 Gopala bolo. Govinda bolo 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 Hari 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 Gopala bolo.
Gopala bolo, Gopala
Bolo, Govinda bolo, Hari Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
bolo,
Govinda bolo,
Govinda
Hari
bolo Hari
Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
bolo.
Govinda bolo, Hari
Govinda bolo
Gopala
Hari
bolo,
Gopala
Gopala
Bolo,
Govinda
bolo.
Hari
bolo,
Gopala
Bolo
Bolo,
Hari Gopala bolo.
Hari
Govinda bolo
Gopala
Hari
bolo,
bolo.
Govinda
Radha
Govinda bolo Hari Gopala bolo.
Bolo, Gopala Bolo, Gopala Bolo, Govinda Bolo, Gopala
Gopala
Bolo,
bolo, Govinda bolo, Hari Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
Bolo,
Govinda bolo,
Bolo,
Hari
Hari
Gopala bolo,
Gopala Bolo,
Govinda bolo, Hari
Bolo,
Gopala bolo,
Govinda
Govinda
Bolo,
bolo,
Hari
Hari Gopala.
Govinda bolo Hari Gopala bolo. Radha Ramana Hari Gopala bolo. Radha Ramana Hari Gopala bolo. Radha Ramana Hari Gopala bolo. Radha Ramana
Ramanari
Hari
Gopala
Gopala
Bolo,
bolo, Radha
Radha
Ramana
Ramana Hari
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 Gopala
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 bolo,
bolo.
Radha Ramana Hari Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
bolo,
Gopala bolo, Gopala bolo, bolo.
Hari
Hari
Gopala bolo, Govinda bolo,
Govinda
Hari
bolo, Hari
Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
bolo,
Govinda
Govinda
bolo, Hari
bolo, Hari
Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
bolo,
Govinda bolo,
Govinda
Hari
bolo, Hari
Gopala
Gopala
bolo,
bolo,
Govinda bolo,
bolo,
Hari
Hari
Gopala
Gopala
bolo.
bolo.
Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo,
Govinda bolo, Hari Gopala bolo,
bolo Hari Gopala bolo.
Govinda
Govinda
bolo,
bolo,
Hari
Hari
Gopala bolo,
Gopala bolo,
Govinda bolo, Hari Gopala bolo.
bolo.
Gopala bolo, Govinda bolo, Hari 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 Gopala bolo, Govinda bolo.
Radha
Ramana
Ramana Hari
Hari Gopala
Gopala Bolo,
Bolo,
Govinda
Radha
bolo,
Ramana Hari
Hari
Gopala Bolo.
Gopala
Radha
Hari
Hari
Gopala
Gopala Bolo.
I
Radha
was just telling this Sunday first.
Bolo.
Yeah, suddenly I
Bolo.
can't. It becomes a phone call. When he invites me, say, go, go.
Gopala Bolo.
But suddenly, immediately, he also said, go, you're making me tired. Yeah, you want to start that? Yeah, Ram also was asking, what was trying to say. Oh, yes, not today. Not today, sorry. No, no, we are going to call also. Only WhatsApp, I think. Only saying that he gives me a message and that he can't communicate with me. I don't know what's going on. He says he's very busy with other WhatsApp.
Govinda Bolo Hari Gopala Bolo.
Ramana Hari Govinda Bolo. Gopala Bolo.
Very good, very good, very good. I really enjoyed that. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for your sweet messages. I've gone through all of them as you typed them out. One more. This one. This looks rocking.
Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Shiva, 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 Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho. Mahadeva Shambho.
Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva
Deva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Mahadeva
Deva Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva,
Shiva
Shiva, Shiva,
Shambho,
Shambho.
Shiva
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 Shambho,
Shambho,
Shiva Shiva
Shiva Shiva
Shambho, Shiva Shiva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva 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 Shambho, Shiva Shiva
Shiva
Shiva
Shiva Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho, Mahadeva
Mahadeva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Mahadeva Shambho,
Shambho,
Mahadeva
Mahadeva
Shambho,
Shambho, Mahadeva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Shiva Shiva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho, Shiva Shiva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho, Shiva
Shiva
Shiva Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva Shiva Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Shiva Shiva
Mahadeva
Mahadeva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Shambho, Mahadeva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Mahadeva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Mahadeva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shiva, Shiva,
Shiva Shiva Shambho
Shiva Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva
Shambho
Shiva Shambho,
Shiva Shiva
Shiva Shiva
Shambho
Shiva Shambho,
Shiva Shiva
Shiva Shiva
Shambho
Shambho,
Mahadeva Shambho
Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva
Mahadeva
Shambho, Mahadeva
Mahadeva
Shambho,
Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva,
Shiva
Shiva
Shiva,
Shiva
Shiva
Shiva.
Shambho
Shambho,
Shiva
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 Shambho
Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva
Shambho
Shiva
Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva
Shambho
Mahadeva
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 Shambho,
Shambho,
Shambho
Deva
Mahadeva
Shambho,
Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva
Sitare
Shambho,
Shambho.
Shiva, Shiva, Shiva.
Shiva Shiva Shambho Shiva Shiva Shambho Shiva Shiva
Shiva
Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva
Mahadeva
Shambho
Sitare
Mahadeva
Shambho,
Shambho Mahadeva
Deva
Shambho
Shambho, Shiva Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva Shiva
Shambho
Shiva Shiva
Shambho,
Shiva
Shiva
Shambho,
Shiva
Shambho
Shambho,
Mahadeva
Deva,
Shambho,
Mahadeva
Mahadeva Shambho, Mahadeva Shambho,
Shiva, Shiva.
Shiva 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 Shambho,
Shambho Shiva 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 Shambho Shiva 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 Shambho Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Mahadeva Shambho Shiva Shiva
Shiva
Shambho
Shambho,
I've never seen anything like this before. So amazing. So, sounds like so much beauty in the seeming chaos. No? So much beauty in the seeming chaos. That is the way of the universe. So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Sri Moji Baba ki jai.
Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki jai.
Guru Kripa Keval.